When it comes to hunting the monsters of this world, it is painfully obvious this is no 9-to-5 job. Any normal person would take one look at this humongous fire-breathing spider and be like, not today. I'm not dealing with this. I don't care if it's only 4:56. I am clocking out right freaking now. The hunters that choose to fight these monsters are definitely anything but normal. And the same goes for their weaponry. We have great swords that are scientifically impossible to wield, lances with cannons strapped to them, bowguns that are basically just rocket launchers. There is no doubt that all these weapons are sophisticated and complex, but there is one that's design is as ancient as it is simplistic. The subject of today's video is an elegant weapon for a more civilized age. What we have here is the bow. Howdy y'all, my name is K996 and welcome to the Agony of Gaming, the series where the satire is cringy and the facts are optional. If a fire-breathing spider the size of a 2-story building is your definition of the ultimate nightmare fuel, then go ahead and drop a like on the video. Or comment below if you feel that the Rachna Kadaki is just misunderstood and we should all be more accepting. Look, the only thing I'm willing to accept is more ways of hunting that horrifying thing into extinction, am I right, my gamers? And my new favorite means of doing that is with the bow. This weapon shares some similarities with its other ranged weapon counterparts as far as its role in combat and general fighting style. But functionally, it is very different. For instance, the bow is an incredibly mobile weapon, competing directly with the light bowgun's mobility. And the dodges the hunters use in combat can actually have an impact on the bow's performance, with one skill in particular that can be used to counter monster attacks, as well as being an invasive maneuver, and not to mention the aerial moves. I can't wait to talk about all that later in the video. Now, as awesome as all that stuff is, it doesn't come for free. Almost everything you do while wielding the bow costs your hunter stamina. So now we must discuss how the bow shares similarities with the weapon from the previous video. And some of you more experienced hunters may already know where this is going. You know it, you love it, say it with me now. Resource management. Just like using the dual blades, using the bow will drain your stamina pool considerably. But unlike the dual blades demon mode, you aren't continuously draining your stamina pool, more so using it in small bursts. So my favorite skill mentioned in the previous video, Marathon Runner, is going to be less effective here, meaning we have to get a little creative, because we all know the adverse effects of having no stamina. This is a bit of a hot topic with the seasoned bow users, however, because the more hardcore hunters will say that stamina skills are unnecessary if you just get good. Look, if I was any kind of competent at video games, the title of my series wouldn't start with the word agony. That being said, I'm a simple man and an even simpler hunter, and I want to worry about my stamina as little as possible, so I go heavy on the skills to compensate for my noobery. I'm talking stamina surge, constitution, latent power, geologist. What the heck is that doing there? You throw in some choice food buffs and all of your stamina problems are solved. Might as well just turn off that little yellow bar, cause you don't need it. Take your bow and go fight a Goss Harang without your stamina bar. It'll go great, I promise. Once you get your stamina all sorted out, one major upside of using this weapon is that in terms of equipment, it really comes down to personal preference. If you're one of the cool kids that prefers dealing raw damage, then your options are through the roof, and it's almost hard to get it wrong. But if you're one of the big brain hunters that prefer to not have fun while playing your video games, there's always the elemental rampage bows. I personally don't go anywhere near that elemental nonsense, because having to worry about what the monster is and is not weak to, and having 5 different loadouts of what is essentially the same weapon to accommodate for each monster's weakness is just too much to worry about. Like I said in my light bowgun video, the reason I love raw damage so much is because there ain't nothing immune to getting shot in the freaking face. Except for maybe the Bearoth, but he's basically the monster equivalent of a short bus, so he gets a pass. The only piece of equipment that is considered mandatory is this fruity little earring. Man, if my older sister saw me wearing something like this in real life, she wouldn't hesitate to beat the crap out of me. The way you acquire this is from the arena quest, which is this weeb's whole reason for existing. This funky little earring is held in such high regard by the bow users because it has a skill that is unique to it alone. That being Bow Charge Plus. Wow, that name is uninspired. Increases max bow charge level by 1. Bow charge level? What the hell is that? Well, I am glad you asked, because now it is time to talk about why all of those stamina shenanigans from earlier are necessary. But more importantly, it's time to talk about dealing some damage! Does anyone else have an unreasonable hatred towards Master Itsushi? That's probably just a me thing. I think the primary reason is because I can't say his name without sounding like I'm trying to beatbox. We'll start with the basic mechanics and then the skills. This is another weapon with a charging mechanic where certain actions or combos will cause your weapon to charge up and deal more damage. This is depicted in game with your bow developing an aura that glows from red to orange and finally gold, to signify it's fully charged. And just like with other weapons that have similar charging mechanics, you basically want to be fully charged as much as possible. The one drawback with the bow is it's a real short sequence of events, and you will go from charged to uncharged quite often. The super basic means of attacking is to sit there, charge up the bow, and then as soon as it glows gold, you release your shot. This is slow, dangerous, and worst of all, inefficient, so it's generally not recommended. My preferred means of dealing damage is a simple 5-step combo. Shoot the monster 3 times in rapid succession, each shot will increase your charge level by 1, and at the conclusion of your 3rd shot, pressing the A button to do your power shot and then pressing it again for power volley. You must press A after shooting an arrow, otherwise you will do this funky little melee attack that deals poo-poo damage. But it is super disrespectful, so I use it from time to time to assert dominance. This combo is pretty unga-bunga mindless while still being competitive in the damage department. Once you get comfortable with that basic combo, you can start getting frisky by using the dodges. If you will recall to earlier in the video, I mentioned that the dodge works into the bow's functionality. You can charge up your bow's level by dodging while aiming, or if your bow is fully charged, you can dodge to maintain that fully charged state. So what this means is if you have a fully charged bow at the end of a combo, you just do a dodge and then power shot, power volley, dodge again, and then you just repeat that until you run out of stamina. Or you misjudge a monster's attack, whichever happens first. But still, something this simple shouldn't be this effective. One thing you may have noticed at the bottom right corner of the screen are these things called coatings. You may have also noticed that I normally forget to use them. These function very similarly to the ammunition for the bow guns, with the basic premise being that they are more effective than an ammo shot, but you get less of them. You got your basic elements that are kind of self-explanatory, such as paralysis and sleep coatings, and then you got these two that straight up give you a damage increase. The primary difference being that the power coating isn't available on every single bow, and when it is, has a limited capacity of 50 shots, whereas the close range coating will reduce your critical distance, meaning you have to get closer to the monster, but is available on every single bow by default and has unlimited ammo, so it ends up being the one I use the most. One mind-boggling thing I love about the bow is that most of the time you're shooting more than one arrow at once, which is very impressive physically speaking. And this is entirely dependent on your bow's shot types. There are 3 different shot types in the game: rapid, spread, and piercing. Rapid is what I would consider the basic shot, where you just have a cluster of arrows in a small location. That is very precise, very simple, and very boring. Wide shot is basically the bow equivalent of shooting a shotgun, where your arrows fly out in a fanning pattern, which is great for incredibly large monsters or ones with high mobility, but if you're trying to pinpoint a specific target location and you are too far away, you might find yourself dealing less damage as your arrows fly off into the distance instead of hitting their target. And finally, we have my personal favorite, the piercing shot. For those of us that like to add a little penetration into our hunts, you fire a single arrow that travels through the monster with a potential of dealing 6 ticks of damage. The bigger the monster, the bigger the suffering. Look at all those numbers. Oh, it's beautiful enough to make a grown man cry. Alright, time to talk about some skills. I normally don't mention the ones I don't care about, but all of the bow skills are surprisingly relevant. First up, we have the arc shot, which is actually a support maneuver. You have the option of increasing your teammates' chance to deal a critical attack by 15%, giving them knockback resistance, or a heal over time. I suppose this is pretty neat, but I kind of really miss the big bad bag of ball bearings from Monster Hunter World because stunning monsters is great and staggering teammates is hilarious. Big bad bag of ball bearings. Man, say that 5 times fast. Next up is everyone's favorite, the Dragon Piercer. By pressing X plus A while aiming, your hunter charges up one massive piercing attack that also does slicing damage, so you might cut off a tail every now and again. Counter more.
Oh no, I can't reach it.
Oh, nice! Very impressive. That was impressive. Uh-oh. And by charge up, I mean you have to sit still for 4 whole seconds before the move pops off. 4 seconds may not sound very long, but it is more than enough time for the monster to put an end to your shenanigans. Since my 5-part combo I mentioned earlier does comparable damage, and I can do it while on the move, I kind of forget to use the Dragon Piercer. Next, let's talk about the switch skills. I'll just go down the line in order and try to knock these out real quick because this script is getting ridiculously long. The power shot I mentioned earlier actually has 2 different modes, the standard one and the absolute power shot. The only real difference being that the absolute power shot drains more of your stamina, but has the potential to stun monsters. It really boils down to your personal preference and how well you're already managing your stamina. I kind of flip-flop between the two because I'm indecisive as heck. Alright, time to talk about something a little controversial. The 2 different flavors of dodging. We've got the very simple charging step, which is a dodge that will just charge up your bow by 1 level. Easy to understand, doesn't require a whole lot of overthinking. Then we have the dodge bolt, which is a counter maneuver. If you execute this dodge while a monster is attacking, this allows you to counter that attack and charge up your bow to its maximum level instantly. And for my 3 days of using this weapon, I almost never did that crap on purpose. The few times I tried purposely holding off my dodge to counter monster attacks usually got me killed. Now the controversial bit comes from using the charging step instead of the dash bolt, or dodge bolt, whatever. Because if you do, there is a high probability that some hardcore monster hunter, my personal Heckler goes by the name of Licorice, is going to start yelling at you.
Get good, you suboptimal noob.
Shut up, Licorice. I am trying my best here, damn it.
I can't even imagine missing the timing on a counter move. The cringe!
Look, I just added a death counter to my streams. I can no longer afford recklessness.
You should just uninstall at this point, you idiot.
Alright, that's it. I've had it with you, you motherfucker. And last but not least, we have the focus shot and aerial aim. The focus shot has a misleading name because you're not actually doing an attack. It's an evasive maneuver where your hunter jumps out of the way with a great deal of just straight up invulnerability, and upon landing will crouch, regaining stamina rapidly. It is by no means useless, but the other skill is by far my favorite. Aerial aim causes your hunter to launch up in the air and instantly shoot a cluster of arrows. Then you can manually shoot 2 more, combining to deal an incredible amount of damage. This is my go-to means of dishing out some hurt, aside from my 5-step combo I mentioned earlier. Because the damage output is kind of absurd, and it's sort of safe to do since you spend most of it in the air. I really just spam this move out whenever I have wire bugs available. It's a bit of an issue, especially when the wrong monster comes around and puts me in my place. The bow has got to be one of the most versatile weapons in the game. Long range, close range, raw damage, or elemental damage. For a weapon that has such a simple design, the amount of options it gives you is staggering. It's real easy to see why this is such a favorite weapon in the community, and not just because it's straight up overpowered. If I run into a new prospecting hunter that asks me what weapon they should use first, I believe from now on the bow will be my answer. And you, sir, are still in hot water, so don't you dare mention the gun lance.
But what about the blast dash?
Will you shut up? I would like to sincerely thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider liking the video and subscribing if you haven't done so already. As much as I enjoyed this weapon, I gotta say I am happy that all of that stamina managing nonsense is over. It's pretty damn annoying. And I have been greatly enjoying the hunting horn. I'm excited to start working on that video. So until then, this is not goodbye for good, just goodbye for now.
Oh.
Monkey.
Yes, I'm recording that. Oh, yes.
That was terrible.
Oh,
That
Rajang roared. Can I try to be a hero and charge that Rajang head on? This boy freaking got roared on, and then he got freaking cannonballed on. It was the best.
You're gonna need to send that clip.
Oh my god. Oh.